If Premiere Pro is not using GPU acceleration for rendering, don't worry, because in this video I'm going to walk you through the most effective fixes step by step. This is one of the most common issues editors run into, especially when Premiere keeps falling back to software rendering, export times feel slow, or the Mercury Playback engine only shows software only instead of GPU acceleration. By the end of this tutorial, you'll know how to check your settings, update your drivers, force Premiere to use the dedicated GPU, and make sure your export is actually taking advantage of hardware acceleration. If this video helps you out, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another Premiere Pro fix. Alright, let's get into it. First, open Adobe Premiere Pro and go to File, then Project Settings, and then General. In the Project Settings window, look for the Renderer option. This is where Premiere decides how it will process video while editing and rendering. If everything is working properly, you should see Mercury Playback Engine GPU acceleration with one of these options: CUDA for NVIDIA, OpenCL for AMD, or Metal for Mac. If that option is available, select it and click OK. This is the most important first step because if Premiere is set to software rendering, your GPU is not being used for performance-heavy tasks. Now, if you only see software only, that usually means Premiere is not detecting your GPU correctly. In that case, the problem could be your drivers, your GPU compatibility, or your system configuration. So don't stop here. Keep going through the next steps because one of them is likely to fix. Next, update your GPU drivers. This is extremely important because outdated drivers are one of the biggest reasons Premiere Pro fails to enable acceleration. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card, go to the official GeForce driver page and install the latest driver for your model. If you're using AMD, download the latest driver from AMD's official support page. And if you're on Intel graphics, make sure your Intel graphics drivers are fully up to date as well. After updating, restart your computer. A restart matters because Premiere often won't recognize the new driver properly until the system reloads everything. After that, check whether your GPU is actually compatible with GPU acceleration in Premiere Pro. Not every graphics card will support the feature properly, especially older or low-end GPUs. NVIDIA cards need CUDA support for best compatibility, while AMD cards rely on OpenCL and Mac systems use Metal. If your GPU is too old or not supported well by Adobe's current version of Premiere, acceleration may stay disabled no matter what you do. So if you've updated the driver and still only see software only, compatibility could be the reason. Now let's fix a very common laptop issue. If you're using a laptop with both integrated graphics and a dedicated GPU, Windows may be forcing Premiere Pro to use the weaker built-in graphics instead of your powerful dedicated card. To fix this, open Windows Graphics Settings, then add Premiere Pro if it is not already listed. Once it appears, set it to High Performance. That tells Windows to use the dedicated GPU for Premiere rather than the integrated one. This step alone can make a huge difference for rendering, playback, and export performance. Next, make sure Premiere Pro itself is updated. Open Adobe Creative Cloud and check for updates. If there is a newer version of Premiere available, install it. Adobe regularly improves GPU support, fixes bugs, and updates compatibility with new graphics drivers. Sometimes the issue is not your computer at all, but just an older version of Premiere that doesn't recognize your hardware properly. After updating, reopen Premiere and check the renderer again in Project Settings. Now let's talk about export settings, because even if Premiere is using your GPU while editing, export may still be set up incorrectly. When you are ready to export, go to File, then Export, then Media. Make sure your format is set to H.264 since that is one of the most common formats that supports hardware encoding on many systems. Then look under Encoding Settings and choose Hardware Encoding instead of Software Encoding. This tells Premiere to use your GPU during export, which can significantly reduce rendering time. If hardware encoding is not available, that may point back to driver issues, GPU limitations, or unsupported export settings. Another important thing to check is your effects. Not every effect in Premiere uses the GPU. Only GPU accelerated effects can take advantage of your graphics card, so if you're expecting your GPU to handle everything, that's not always how it works. Open the effects panel and look for effects labeled GPU accelerated. Those are the ones that are optimized for faster playback and rendering. If your timeline contains effects that are not GPU accelerated, Premiere may still rely more heavily on the CPU for those sections. And finally, check your system limitations. If your GPU has low VRAM, if your drivers are outdated, or if other heavy apps are using the graphics card at the same time, Premiere may struggle to enable acceleration properly. Close unnecessary background applications, especially games, screen recorders, browser tabs with lots of video, or any software that is also putting pressure on the GPU. The more resources Premiere has available, the better chance it has of using your dedicated graphics hardware correctly. So to recap, if Premiere Pro is not using GPU acceleration for rendering, the main fixes are: enable GPU acceleration in project settings, update your GPU drivers, confirm your GPU is compatible, force Premiere to use the dedicated GPU on laptops, update Premiere Pro, enable hardware encoding during export, and check which effects are actually GPU accelerated. If you go through these steps carefully, you should be able to solve the problem in most cases. If this tutorial helped you fix Premiere Pro, please give the video a like, subscribe for more editing tutorials and troubleshooting guides, and leave a comment if you want me to cover more Premiere Pro fixes next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.